I'm genealogist Brian Nash, and with St. Patrick's Day coming up, and everybody will be claiming they're Irish. So I wanted to set the record straight and explain how to tell if somebody has any Irish DNA and no needing to go through one of those expensive DNA tests. So I thought, who is the most Irish celebrity I can think of? And then it dawned on me, Conan O'Brien, of course.
I found out, I went to see my doctor a couple of months ago, and just for physical, he was doing the physical, and he said, by the way, Conan, I don't know if you're into this, but I do DNA testing, I'm very good at it, we can find out about your heritage. 2 weeks later, he called me up, and he said, I've never, ever, ever had a DNA result like this before. And I've been doing this for 10 years. And I said, what is it? And he said, you are, and this is true, you are 100% Irish.
So I researched his old clips and podcasts to see what things he mentions that make him Irish.
I said, what does it mean? He said, what does it mean? He said, it means you're inbred.
Your name is Ellen O'Brien. I'm an O'Brien as well, as you may know. And so we're probably distantly related.
We definitely are.
Yeah.
Everybody is related.
I took a DNA test and found out that even though I've been living in this country my family has at least for about 150 years, I am still 100%, 100.00% Irish. Because
it's the skin color and the hair.
Yeah, and all the relatives,
it doesn't fade out.
we didn't branch out. No one got creative with their life partner. Everybody just married the person who was brushing their teeth next to them in the bathroom. And tell me about your parents. What are their names?
So my dad, Ray, he was born an O'Brien, and he met my mum when he was 21, who is Tina O'Brien.
Wait a minute. Was she born Tina O'Brien, or she took his last name?
No, she was born Tina O'Brien.
Wait a minute. An O'Brien met and married an O'Brien. This is what I've been talking about. This is the problem.
And I made up this great chart with him as my guide to help with just these 6 simple comparisons to tell if you've got any Irish in you at all. But then I investigated further and I found Barack Obama, Mariah Carey, Ronald Reagan, Tom Brady, Muhammad Ali, and Tom Cruise are just a few of the celebrities who can claim Irish heritage. And none of them are from Boston. Well, Tom Brady isn't anymore. And none of them have red hair. Heck, I don't have red hair. I mean, I barely have any hair. But what I have is not red. And I'm not from Boston. But as a genealogist, I've retraced my roots, and I know I'm 50% Irish. My other 50% is Scottish, which is like the closest you can be to Irish without being Irish. You know, I'm 100% Celt. So my Conan checklist is as trustworthy at telling if somebody is Irish as the contract that NBC gave him to host The Tonight Show. So I thought, well, maybe you can tell by the things that people associate with. And do you know what is Irish? Sure, we can all name the harp, tin flute, good stout beer, and whiskey. And that's whiskey spelled with an E. And of course, Irish step dancing, shillelaghs, shamrocks, and potatoes, the Celtic cross, the Irish setter, and the Irish wolfhound. And in making this list, I realized what's not Irish. My 3-legged schnauzer, Hetty, she's German. So I realized you can't tell if a person's Irish by what dogs they have. And they went back to the list and the Conan criteria, and I thought, where do they overlap? And bingo, I love whiskey. Good Irish whiskey, and I'm known to drink Guinness. And I love potatoes, so much so that my house is actually surrounded by potato fields. So that's what makes you Irish. Loving whiskey and Guinness and potatoes, right? But then I thought, a lot of people love Guinness and doesn't necessarily make you Irish. Whiskey, well, whiskey's from around the world. And potatoes, I mean, who doesn't love potatoes? And then I thought, what is a drink that is definitely not Irish? even though many people think it is. And I realized green beer, definitely not Irish. Right, Hetty? Look, she won't even drink it. And she's German. And Germans know as much about good beer as the Irish. So, green beer is definitely not Irish. But I began to think, what traits do Irish people have? And if you have these, maybe it shows that you're Irish. At least part of you is. And I went back to Irish history, and though there's been a lot of struggle and strife in Ireland for years and still going on, one thing that set the Irish apart is the belief in hard work, the belief in looking after the community, helping their neighbors, being charitable and giving. In fact, if you go to any community in North America where there's a large Irish population, you'll probably find a benevolent Irish society. They're everywhere. So I began to think about another Irish person, one that I associate a little bit more. That doesn't have red hair. He's not born in Boston. Now I thought of Michael J. Fox. I grew up with him on TV, with Family Ties and later Spin City. And who couldn't forget that little 80s trilogy that he was part of called Back to the Future? He's Irish. His grandmother was from Belfast. And, nowadays he's probably as well known for having Parkinson's and creating the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. That charitable side comes from his Irish genes, for sure. So I can relate to Michael J. Fox. We have a lot in common. We're both good Canadian boys of Irish heritage. And we were both diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. For him, it was at age 29, which is much earlier than it was for me. I was in my early 40s. And my Irish spirit of generosity and giving back has led me to want to do something to not just honor Michael J. Fox, but to give back to the great community of neurologists, researchers, other volunteers, and people like myself that are suffering with Parkinson's. He's built up a great community through his Parkinson Research Foundation. So when they're not busy trying to find a cure, they also do great work in helping people like me who have been diagnosed with Parkinson's learn about the disease and how to live with it, and for our family members as well, so they can learn how to live with us. They have a vast catalog of information, workshops, and other resources online, which has helped me to understand the way Parkinson's affects me personally, and to understand different people have different ways the disease expresses itself. For me, my tremors are very mild, but there's other things, sometimes as simple as buttoning a shirt, or tying my shoes, or even being able to physically move some days, or to get my brain to connect with the words I want to speak sometimes, are things I struggle with daily because of Parkinson's. So one of the things I struggle with my Parkinson's as well, is sleep. A lot of things around sleep. In fact, it's kind of funny. Earlier today, and this was not planned, but I got an email that they were going to be having a webinar on Parkinson's and sleep coming up in a few days' time. So when I got to think about what I can do to honor Michael, the idea of a 24-hour live stream on St. Patrick's Day, because he's Irish, and doing it as a fundraiser seemed like a good way for me to show my support. Since I have trouble sleeping anyways, I might as well stay up and do something useful. So this St. Patrick's Day, I'm inviting you to join me, and I'll be having special guests throughout the day to come and talk about all things Irish. So I'll be starting at midnight Atlantic time on March 17th. Knowing that everybody claims to be Irish on St. Patrick's Day, let's get in touch with that part of your Irish heritage. So I'm asking you to be generous and donate. Even if you can't watch me because you're going out to your favorite Irish pub to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, just have one less of these fake green beers and donate the cost of it instead. Really, it's a much better way of expressing how Irish you are than dressing up like you belong on the front of the box of Lucky Charms. So I'm asking you, no green beer and give. There'll be links down in the description how to give and how to watch live.